We are back, the one and only OSB Sports Podcast Show. I am Scott Matthews. We got a big-time week of action going this week. We got some NFL playoffs heating up right now. We have a great guest on our show. We're going to call her the Queen of the Pucks. Sarina Taylor's on from the Cats and Bolts podcast. We're going to talk to her in just a few minutes from now. But I want to introduce my co-host with me, the one and only CEO of the Sports Profits, Mr. Teddy Brooks. What's up, Teddy?
Nice to see you guys and gal. We're doing good. We had a good NFL week last week.
All right. And here he is, ladies and gentlemen, the one and only, the big kahuna OSB Sports, Tommy D.
Hey, divisional playoffs doesn't get better than this.
Well, Teddy mentioned it last week. You were right on the money there, saying that Belichick might be gone, and he's gone.
Well, he's
no
gone.
longer.
He's gone. We got some odds where he may land, which will be interesting to see.
Yeah.
71, does he pack it in, or does he go for the big paycheck and try to get another Super Bowl?
We got some interesting openings in the NFL coaching right now. You got Harbaugh. Is he going to stay at Michigan? Is he going to come to the NFL? You got Belichick out there. You got a lot of names mentioned. And
Pete Carroll and Vrabel. I mean, there's some good coaches out there. You know, my concern with some of these older ones like Carroll and Belichick, they're in their 70s. It takes time. You know, if they're going to go to a team, I think it's got to be somewhat of a ready-made team.
It's pretty crazy if you think about it. Within a 24-hour period, Nick Saban, gone from Alabama, legend. Bill Belichick, gone from New England. And Pete Carroll, 14 years in Seattle, all gone within 24 hours. It's amazing.
Yeah, well, DraftKings...
It's not like they were fired.
DraftKings has some odds up where he may land, Belichick.
What do you got? I know you're a big odds guy.
Well, Falcons, they're saying plus 170. He's been speaking to Arthur Blank, the owner of Atlanta.
I don't see it, man. I just don't see that fit.
Yeah. Then no coaching, but maybe like some advisory roles plus 230, they're saying.
Right. At Atlanta?
They're saying Dallas plus 340, the Chargers plus 750. That he goes to the Chargers.
I could see a move like that because he likes to take quarterbacks, and you got Justin Herbert, who's a stud. I mean, he has the right guy behind him, mentoring him, like a Belichick. That could be a huge play.
Yeah, I think he has to go somewhere with a quarterback. Atlanta, I mean, who do they have? Desmond Ritter? You know,
I don't see that move.
I don't see it working.
But there could be a big paycheck there. Big paycheck.
But Belichick, Jerry Jones, is their personalities going to mesh here? They were saying Jerry Jones liked to control the coach. This guy McCarthy seemed like more of a laid-back type of guy. So who knows if Belichick's going to go head-to-head with a guy like Jerry Jones.
Well, I think that the relationship in the past, I was telling you guys before we started the show, Bill Parcells and Bill Belichick, you know, they're as tight can be. And Bill Parcells was the head coach under Jerry Jones for the Cowboys. So I guarantee you he's going to do a little talking. If he was ever to decide to go to Dallas, he's going to ask Bill Parcells what he thinks before he would make a decision like that. That's my thought on that.
Yeah, I think that's a good read.
You know, one thing, not to change gears on us, but I love ice hockey, and we have a guest that's all about the hockey, probably as good as it gets when it comes to the pucks. I mean, I grew up with ice hockey. I'm from Boston, so, you know, the Bruins back in the day. I don't know about you guys. Is ice hockey a big thing for you guys?
It wasn't until the Panthers came to here, and they had Van Beesbrook back when they went to the Stanley Cup against Colorado, the Beezer. And I was hooked ever since. And, you know, they're very good again now. I live very close to their arena. The crazy thing is ticket prices, and let's bring our guest on and see her opinion on this. But I think hockey's becoming more and more popular, and I think the ticket prices reflect it.
Well, I want to welcome onto the show Sarina Taylor from the Cats and Bolts podcast show. How you doing, Sarina?
I'm well. I'm so glad you guys had me. Thank you so much.
If anybody knows the pucks, ladies and gentlemen, this lady right here, she's all about it. You know, it's crazy what's going on in the NHL nowadays. You got some of these Canadian teams are really excelling right now. Edmonton last night won their 11th straight game. You got Winnipeg doing fantastic. I know you said Calgary wasn't, but there's a lot of great teams in Canada in addition to the flow of the teams in the States. What's your take of what's going on right now with the NHL as far as, these teams and positioning halfway through the season?
I think there are some surprises and some that are not surprising. Having Boston lead the East is not a shock.
Right.
I don't think anybody expected that. Really, the Panthers sitting in second, I don't think that's a huge shock. I think some of the bigger surprises are Tampa. Tampa's not where I think anybody expected them to be. And before this season, the thing that came out of my mouth was this is going to be Tampa's last kick at the can with the guys they have. Their captain, Steve Stamkos, is in the final year of his contract, and there's a big drama to do around what's going to happen with that and whether or not they're going to re-sign him, and they don't want to talk about it till after. So there's teams like that that might be a bit of a surprise. Vancouver and Winnipeg keep going back and forth for top spot in the league.
Yeah, crazy.
And I'm sure nobody saw that coming.
Nobody.
Yeah, so it's been a bizarre year.
And the Vegas Knights, they started out they won their first 13 games coming out, after winning the Stanley Cup last year. They came out like a house of fire, but they've tailed off. I guess their goalie's banged up, their key goalie.
They go back and forth. I mean, they have Aiden Hill play for them usually. He plays pretty well. But I think the thing with Vegas, what is really dangerous about them is last year when I watched them play here in the Stanley Cup final, they were the Stanley Cup champions.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, they were the best team in hockey. As soon as they beat Edmonton in the second round, it was game over. And they really just turned up their game. And I saw the things that they're doing, like getting the puck out of their own end effectively. That's what's going to make them. I wouldn't count them out at all.
No, not at all. Especially, I'll tell you, it's what a great vibe. I don't know if you ever been to a game in Vegas.
I haven't. I
went to the Stanley Cup, not last year, but the first year. And it's something. There's no experience like a hockey game. And they put on a real show.
So here's a big thing. Vegas is obviously a flashy city, right? It's like Nashville. People go there. They want to hang out, whatever. But when you look at the Vegas Golden Knights, they made it to the Stanley Cup final in their first season.
It's amazing.
They have and one of the major reasons behind that is their general manager, Kelly McCrimmon. He's born and raised in Saskatchewan like I am. He brings people from there that know how to run a hockey team. He gets guys in there that know how to play on a team.
Well, that's the key.
That's the big thing right there, 100%.
Yeah, you got to know you got to know who you're drafting. You got to really know how to build a team. That's the key. And it's like that in any sport, though. You got to have from the top down. I mean, that's why a lot of these general managers and head coaches get fired, because they lose control of it, so they got to move on and find other pieces. I know you love the hockey, Teddy.
I do. I love betting on hockey, and what I do is I look for the value, right? So I look, just like you said, nobody saw the Canucks and the Jets kind of doing what they're doing right now. So if you spot that early, you could take advantage of great lines. Like, for example, tomorrow night, you have just Montreal Canadiens, Ottawa Senators. Ottawa Senators are minus 180, right? That's a little bit...
Two nasty teams, though.
Yeah, exactly. The Oilers, they are minus 172 against the Kraken. Toronto, Calgary, but then Vancouver, minus 212 versus Arizona. That same game, maybe a month ago, you would save probably between 30 and 50 points on it. So now the odds makers are catching up to teams like that, and they're juicing up the spread. So this might be a kind of a off question for you. I don't know how much delving you do into the actual lines and the betting, but who do you see right now as a team that their lines are just way overinflated, where it's just not worth it, or a team that's just overrated in general, and then a team that's underrated in general right now?
That's a great question, because it kind of goes back to what we were talking about, where this has been a bizarre year. So what you just said about Vancouver, a month ago, it might have been different. Probably because Vancouver was that team that's been good all year, and nobody expected that. So are the numbers inflated? I'm not sure. It's hard to say. But we're talking about Montreal and Ottawa. Who knows who's going to win that game? From a fan standpoint, that's a crapshoot on any night. So it's like, is it safe to say that one's inflated for that game? Maybe, yeah. Because you never know.
Who do you see catching a stride right now that's kind of wishy-washy?
I would watch out for, wishy-washy. I feel like sometimes Colorado goes back and forth. They won the Stanley Cup not last year, but the year before, and they do have such a strong team. They have arguably the second best player in the entire league in Nate McKinnon.
Yep.
He's incredible.
He's the
incredible.
leading scorer in the NHL, right?
Correct. And their defenseman, Cale Makar, is 5th in points as a defenseman. I mean, this is incredible stuff. But so you never know what they're going to do. They're going to be that team that either really picks up, and I don't want to count them out. And then the Rangers, too. The Rangers
they're playing good right now.
Man, are they strong.
That's another great place. I'm sure you've been there.
I have, and that was great.
Madison Square Garden
yes.
for playoff hockey.
Nothing like a hockey game at the Garden.
It's unbelievable.
I'm a Bruins fan, but I've gone, sorry guys, I've gone to Madison Square Garden for playoff hockey. Nothing like it.
You know what's so funny is every time I talk to people in New York, though, they say, oh, their favorite memory of MSG is a concert.
Nah, hockey playoffs.
Led Zeppelin in '77.
Yeah, everybody has. Somebody was at Queen that I talked to.
Forget him.
Yeah.
He's going
Physically, I was there.
But you know, it's
not mentally.
It's one of those things where if you've never been to a hockey game in Montreal or in Edmonton, I mean, that's next level.
Yeah.
Montreal is like you wear suits to the game. This is a big deal.
It's a different ball game.
Yeah. So, but as far as what you're talking about with the points, like Montreal and Ottawa, like I said, that game is just who knows. There's games like Edmonton and Seattle. Edmonton, if they win, it's 12 in a row. Seattle's lost, I believe, 3 in a row right now, and that could
they
they're
lost
not
last
very
night
strong.
too. Yeah.
Yeah. So the odds should be in Edmonton's favor.
Getting back to the Garden for the second, here's one for you, Sarina. My grandfather took us to see a Ranger Oakland Seal game.
Wow.
Charlie Finley's team.
Oakland
We're talking,
Seal. Oh
this
my
must
God.
have been the late
I
60s.
think Carol Vadnais was a defenseman for them.
The Oakland Seals I saw play the Rangers at the old Garden, probably the late 60s.
But you're not that old, so
I'm
I don't
older than
believe you.
No, I was there, believe me. Oakland
He was
Seals.
there somewhere in spirit.
Oakland Seals. But one question I wanted to ask, do you think there'll be an expansion team in the NHL, maybe internationally or somewhere in Canada or the States?
I think that not anytime soon. I think that the reason that they expanded to Seattle was to even out the numbers.
Right.
Now they've got 32 teams.
Right.
For some reason, the commissioner, Gary Bettman, is just dead set on expanding to Canada. It's just he's not going to do it. He's trying to push hockey. He's trying to build hockey in the U.S. And putting a team in Seattle really balanced it. And I don't think that there's going to be any expansion. If anything, maybe a team will move, but I don't think there's anything on
I
the horizon.
heard Mexico City. Would that make any sense?
They were talking about no, no, it really doesn't. But they were talking about potentially having some outdoor games there and doing some stuff like that. But no, I don't see that happening.
I think the commissioner's done a hell of a job. He's really built the league up over the last several years. I think he's done a pretty damn good job.
I actually, if you want my opinion, I personally don't think he has.
No?
No. Ever since Gary Bettman came in as the commissioner, the old commissioner, John Ziegler, had hockey dialed in. There were 21-ish teams. They were kind of expanding. And ever since Gary Bettman came in, now there's 32 teams. So the talent's diluted.
Okay. Well,
The talent is diluted.
Right.
The cost is up. There's some of the rules in the game have changed, not really for the better. And there's just a lot of things that have changed so much since he came in that really hasn't. If you look at like what's grown the league, yes, there's more teams, so the league is growing, but is the popularity really growing? Not really.
It was a dead sport for many years. It has picked up, obviously, with more networks. You got TNT now, TBS, picking it up, ESPN. So, the networks have picked it up. So as far as, more
they
people.
They go back and forth. Like ESPN had it, then they got rid of the contract, and now they have ESPN Plus. But yeah, TNT generally does a pretty good job of their broadcasts in the playoffs.
So tell me about what's going on down here. Like I was saying in the beginning, Panthers tickets are just skyrocketing year by year by year. To give an example, the Corona Beach section is a place where I like, where basically you get the free food, the free drink, stuff like that.
It's not free, though. You're paying for it.
Well, you're paying for it in the ticket. But so those tickets for just like a regular game against, not against like the Rangers or a Canadian team, because we know a lot of Canadians down here, so those games get sold out. But a regular game in that section,
$150.
4 years ago, 5 years ago, 60 to 80, then 100, 120. Now this year against a bad team, you can't really get it under like 200, 180.
Right.
So like these ticket prices have over doubled here in Florida. Is that just a microcosm? Because I thought that meant that hockey popularity was growing. So Is it growing more here than other places? What's your take on that?
I don't think so. Generally, what happens when a team goes to the Stanley Cup final, it happens everywhere. When a team, look at Tampa, tickets in Tampa have been double the price that they were here for a decade because they won the Stanley Cup and then they won a couple more. And here, I think what they did in the playoffs last year was like in the Stanley Cup final, for example, they realized people would pay, if they're going to pay $1,000 a ticket, guess what they're going to do during the regular season?
That's what they were paying.
They're going to want to
Vegas.
come. Yeah, well, here it had to have been the same.
Yeah.
So I think that just generally happens. I've seen it happen in a lot of sports in general where it goes up, but I think it's a hot ticket now because, and also too, think of how many people have moved here since
Right.
COVID,
True.
and people will pay. I remember, you're right,
True.
before probably 5-6 years ago when I first moved here, everyone's like, you can go to a Panthers game and eat for $60. I'm like, what? That's crazy. In Edmonton, it's like $350. So, but it's supply and demand, and the rink's not always sold out, but they know they can get it now, and you can't really blame them.
Hey,
This is a
they
business.
got a good product, so people
Yeah.
want to pay for a good product to watch. And the Panthers are playing good hockey, solid hockey. They're in second place right now, and got a great goalie. They got some great players. Some of these players, I think, a couple of players are going to the All-Star game, right?
Yeah, too. Reinhardt and Bobrovsky.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Bobrovsky's, I think he's won 21 games, so he's really come charged up this year. They're looking good.
Well, I think Bobrovsky's either hot or cold, and that's the way he's always been. And last year, heading into the playoffs and before that, he really clicked. It's like the light bulb just went off,
Right,
and he
right.
hasn't really looked back. Really, he hasn't had
Gotta
a lot
get
of
that
games
big money
that he
he's
did
making.
like last year.
Yeah, no, he won some key games for them that carried them. He got hot
Oh.
at the right time.
He was the reason.
And you know how hockey is. Hot goalie, you can ride with a hot goalie for quite a bit. You
Yeah,
go deep into
absolutely.
That's the key. I remember back when I was a kid, Ken Dryden, I'm sure you know the name, the
course.
goalie. Yeah, when you couldn't get pucks past that guy. I mean,
Yeah.
he carried the Canadians for many years. He was, obviously, with the players and talent they had around them. You have any other questions on that?
Well, no. I mean, I've been to Canada, and I once was at Rogers Center. I couldn't get a ticket to go inside, but there must have been 1,000 people outside.
Oh, yeah, they
Now,
have.
it was 8
Yeah.
degrees, mind you. I'm there, freezing my you-know-what off. There was people drinking beers, watching the big screen outside the arena. I never saw anything like it
Yeah.
before. Hockey is king in Canada, without a doubt.
To be totally honest, you're absolutely right. We really don't care about much else. People will there's a lot of big NFL fans up there. Like, I know a lot of people that would love to watch this show because you guys talk about things that pertain to them. They like the sports betting stuff. They like all that stuff. But when it comes to hockey, we talk about hockey in July ad nauseum while we're watching a Blue Jays game. Like, that's really all we talk about is hockey up there. It's all we care about.
That's the number one sport, hands down. I mean, really, if you think about
Yeah,
it. It's not
100%.
baseball, that's for sure.
No,
You
there
only
are
have the-
baseball fans. Like, people love baseball up there. There's a lot of kids that play baseball, whatever, but we're not a baseball nation.
But NBA's big also.
If you're a basketball fan.
Maybe Eastern Canada. I've never been
Yeah.
to Western Canada, but I know Toronto, the Raptors are very big.
The Raptors are good, especially because they won, but they also have the Canadian Elite Basketball League that is pretty popular up there. They have a lot of good players that play in that league, and there's a bunch of leagues like that it's a pocket of people that care. But as far as hockey's concerned, it's like you come out of the womb with your team tattooed
Right.
on your butt.
Well, that's how it was when I was a kid in Boston. You grew up,
Yeah.
it was all about,
all it is.
it wasn't about the Patriots, maybe a little bit Red Sox. It was about the Bruins back in the day when I was a kid. All about
Oh,
hockey.
they won a few Stanley Cups at that time.
Oh, they had some killer teams back in the day. When you had Bobby Orr, Esposito, Hodge, McCann. Yeah,
I grew up on Long Island during the Islander dynasty, and that was crazy.
Were you at
What's-
those games?
I was at those games.
He's at a lot of games.
I used to go to open practice at a place in Farmingdale, Long Island called Racketing Rink. We'd cut out of high school. The Islanders had open practice. Glenn Resch signed his cracked goalie stick to me. The players used to talk to us.
There you
This was
go.
before Chico Resch.
I
before-
saw him the other night.
Really?
Yeah, because he does color for the Devils.
He's
so
from,
he was here
he's
the other
from
night.
Minnesota, if I'm not mistaken.
So he was there the other night. That's the cool thing. Like those Islanders teams, they had like a couple guys from Saskatchewan, Clark Gillies, Brian Trottier. Those guys were tough as nails.
Oh, yeah.
They don't make them like that anymore.
Bobby Nystrom scored the first goal when they won the first championship, Stanley Cup. No, it was crazy on the island at those days, late 70s.
Especially 4 years in a row.
Yep.
Let me ask you, not to put you on the spot, but you got Boston number 1 and Florida number 2 in the division right now, separated by 4 points. Do you think that the Panthers can outjump the Bruins to win that division? I mean, I know it's...
If I was them, I wouldn't want to.
No? You want to stay in second or third spot?
Yeah, that's how I feel. The President's Cup is jinxed. Anybody who wins President's
Right.
Cup loses
Oh, yeah.
out. The Bruins had the
Good point.
The Bruins had the greatest all-time record
Right.
in the National Hockey
And they
League
went
last
out.
year,
That's crazy.
and they lost. And if I was the Panthers, I would sit back, because when you win and you end up in first place, everybody expects you to win.
It's a big bullseye on you, I think, too, right?
Yeah, I'd rather just sit back and see who you play. It doesn't matter. You have to beat everybody anyway,
They
right?
did it the year before, right? Panthers had the
Correct.
President's Cup the year before. and
Tampa did it the year before. Lose out in the first round.
Yeah. It's a little curse of the
Or
NHL.
2 years or whatever. Yeah.
But
Oh, yeah, I think it was the Panthers 2 years ago.
So it was Boston last year, would have been the Panthers the year before. I think it was Tampa the year
Tampa,
before.
yeah.
But Boston won 65 games last
Yeah,
year.
they
That's
crushed it.
crazy.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
They crushed it. Well, Pasternak, man, he had a season of all seasons. And he's having a good year again this year.
He's such a great hockey
Isn't
player.
he turned out excellent.
Yeah, he's really, I think Boston, there's definitely some holes. I don't think they're quite as strong as they were last year. Last year, to be honest, they really should have beat Florida. They really should have won
yeah.
that series.
On paper, for sure.
But even in the games, I mean, and if they would have won, and Boston would have been tough
But
to
like you
beat.
say, the hot goalie. You got a
100%.
hot
That's what did
goalie,
it.
That's what got him
Yeah.
up. Yeah. You don't have that hot goalie. Bob doesn't get hot. The Bruins move on, and Panthers don't.
Yeah,
But,
absolutely.
I see a couple of surprises. I don't know. What's your take? I'm looking at, obviously in the Metropolitan Division, you got the Rangers on top. But what about Philadelphia? They're playing pretty interesting this year. I mean, no one expected them to be in it.
Here,
at this point.
Yes, that was also an interesting one because they hired Keith Jones to be their general manager, and that was such a great hire for them.
Okay.
Philadelphia, they have it clicking, I think.
Yeah.
Bobby Clark was their general manager for a long time, and they just love him there. And I'm not a fan because I'm not a
legend.
Flyers fan, but he made it work. Like, that's the kind of guy that they need, like Harry Sinden in Boston.
Right.
He garnered respect.
Yep.
And I think that this is the same situation here, where you get a good general manager that people like and they respect, and that's what's making them click. And Philly's going to be that team that if they tank, wouldn't really be surprised.
Right.
If they do well, might be a
Do
little
you think
surprised.
they're playing over their head right now, though? Are they playing,
They're about what I would expect, I would say.
Okay.
Yeah.
'Cause
Yeah.
that's an interesting conference. I mean, you got the Rangers, the Flyers, the Hurricanes, and the Penguins. Penguins, they've tailed off over the last couple of years. Obviously, they were
that's-
huge for a while there.
That's what's going to happen to Tampa. And I said that at the start of the
Yeah,
year.
you get older.
You got guys that don't move.
Right.
You won a couple Stanley Cups. It's probably time. But that's okay. I have no issues with teams being faithful to their guys. Sidney Crosby should never play somewhere else. Malkin should never play anywhere else. You need to be loyal to your guys.
right.
So they're
I
going to
can't
rebuild.
even see Crosby going anywhere else. Could you?
No. And
I
that,
think he's
no.
done. Once he's done with Pittsburgh, he's
Yeah,
off to the
it should
wayside.
be. But look at teams like New Jersey.
Ovechkin too. Where's he going to go?
Yeah, correct.
Right.
But kind of shocking teams like Buffalo. Everybody expected them to
Yeah.
be a little stronger. They have
Right.
some great young players.
Yeah.
New Jersey is fast. When they were here the other night, Florida couldn't keep up. They are fast.
Yeah.
But they have a couple of players that are hurt right now, so that's where they're kind of struggling a little bit.
Yeah, I thought that they would be a little stronger because they started out the preseason 7-0. They didn't miss they started out like a house of fire.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
you think it met the momentum, but preseason's preseason, I guess, at the end of the day. But we want to let people know how they can find you because you are on top of the. Listen, guys, gals out
We
there.
got to have it back closer to the playoffs in the Stanley Cup.
Absolutely.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Definitely.
She's spot on. I mean, listen, I think I know hockey, but I don't know hockey next to this lady right here. But we got to, Ben, we got to put up her information so people can check out their podcast show because they got a great show. It's called Cats and Bolts. That's correct, right? I'm saying it correctly?
Cats and Bolts, yes.
All right. And Sarina is one of the co-hosts of that show, and they have some great guests. They have a lot of people, I guess, in the NHL and former NHL people.
We have a lot of former Panthers. We'd like to get more Lightning, but they obviously, a lot of them don't live here. But we actually have Doug McLean coming down for our next podcast.
Okay.
That's going to be a big one.
All right. You got to get, your Phil Esposito on one of these shows.
If I had Phil Esposito, I'd fall over dead for sure.
Is he in Tampa?
Yes,
Is
he's
that
still
where he
working there.
resides?
Yeah.
He's still with them?
He works. Yeah, he does some color for them. He's kind of just hanging in there, but yeah, he's a beauty.
I had a pretty cool experience. I mean, not to bore anyone, but I had a pretty cool experience as a kid with Esposito. My dad, it's crazy. This is a crazy story. It was in New York City back in the day when he used to catch cabs on the street, and he was getting into a cab, and who was standing next to him? Rod Gilbert and Phil Esposito. So he kind of cut in, and he told them, "Come on in, get in." And they came in the cab, and they became friends. And then I met Esposito. I went to a game in Boston when the Rangers came up, and he gave me a stick. I went in the locker room after the game. It was a pretty cool experience as a young kid. So, yeah, my dad actually met Esposito and Rod Gilbert in the middle of the street in Manhattan, catching a cab.
That's great. That's the one thing that breaks my dad's heart is that trade. My dad's a Bruins fan, and he's a big Esposito fan, and that's the one thing that still breaks his heart.
Went from 7 to 77.
Yeah.
Ben, can you pull up her information? It's on the
there.
screen.
There we go.
Look at
Yeah.
that.
Cats and bolts.
We really
at that.
appreciate you coming on.
My
pleasure.
You got some great stuff.
I just came because you guys are buying me lunch after.
Yeah.
Oh, is that it?
Yeah, that's the only
Oh, that's the
reason.
big kahuna. He's got the money.
Yeah, I got the money.
That's the big kahuna.
I should have kept my mouth shut, huh? No, but we're looking.
Don't weasel out, Big
We're
Kahuna.
looking forward to lunch as well.
All right.
Definitely, yeah.
Hey, listen, I'm working up an appetite with all this stuff going
Yeah.
on. But thank you so much for being
Thank you
on.
guys
We
very much.
appreciate you.
My pleasure.
Thank you.
All right. Well, that was great, guys. I really like that. I'll tell you, I'm a big hockey guy. I really, growing up and all that stuff. I know you like hockey too.
I love watching hockey. I love watching the Panthers. I don't really watch a lot of other teams, but what I will say, you brought up the Flyers, Scotty, and something
Is that
interesting.
your sleeper?
Well, I didn't. They're overperforming based on the odds, right? So they're winning a lot of plus games, plus 170, plus 115, plus 135, plus 185. They won a plus 185 and a plus 195 back-to-back in November. So I'd have to imagine there's a lot of profit if you just bet the Flyers every game so far this year.
Well, how about the Panthers the other day? 4-1 favorite.
Minus 400.
Boom, boom.
And they were up 4-2 in that game
Gotta have
also.
your
lost it.
head examined to bet a minus 400
Well, if you
game.
bet the other side, you're a little hero, though.
You are a hero.
Picked
but
up,
I'm saying, yeah,
Actually, you picked up three
three to
Right.
Even the puck line on a game like that's like minus 180, minus 190, probably something.
Hey,
like that.
you know what? I love hockey and I love playoff hockey, but you know what? We got more important things to talk about because that's far away, and what's not far away are the NFL games that we got going this weekend, and we got 4 of them, and I'll tell you, they look absolutely juicy. We got 2 games on Saturday. We got the Texans against the Ravens. Wow, what can you say about this C.J. Stroud? Whew. What an unbelievable. Youngest rookie quarterback, had a passer rating of 157.2. I mean, you got 2 games this weekend, Houston and Baltimore. The current line, Baltimore is -9. The total is 43.5. And you got the game on the West Coast. I'm going to throw it to you and tell me what you...
I'm all over this Texans-Ravens game because I looked at... I'm going to talk about both of these games where you have the number one on Saturday. You got the Texans playing the Ravens and then Green Bay playing San Fran. The Texans, to me, and the public's on both of the dogs here. The public is on both of
They've
the
dropped,
road.
right, a little bit?
The public is on both of the road dogs. The Texans line has moved more than the Ravens line. That line was at 9.5, 9. It's at 9. It's at 8.5 on some books right now. Here's some numbers on this game. You know me, I like to dig into some deeper numbers. Listen to this. The Texans are 7-2 against the spread as dogs of 2.5 points or more. They've won outright this year 6 out of 10 times as dogs, and they're 7-1 against the spread as road dogs in their last 8 games on the road.
Good numbers.
The real negative is Stroud really hasn't played much in cold
You
weather.
got to play in that environment,
And when
too.
he did play in cold weather, he did not have his best numbers. But another number for everybody, Ravens are 1-8 against the spread as home favorites coming off a week of rest or coming off an extended period. So if they have like 10 days or whatever, listen, guys, this rest, this is what these guys play for, but it doesn't always help them.
Pick Una. I don't know how you're going to
So I'm all over
that.
So
He's
I'm all
got,
over the Texans.
He's got his homework there. He's done his homework.
Guy's got the book out and all.
So I'm all over the Texans. I want to try to shop.
Best bet?
This is my best NFL bet of the weekend.
Wow.
Out of the 4.
Out of the 4, the Houston Texans. I'd love to try to get it to 10 without paying too much money.
All right.
We've got to see where these lines go.
Do you have anything on that game,
I
Pick Una?
have, but 9.5 is an argument for obviously the dog here. But I'm looking at some props here, and Lamar Jackson has thrown 3 or more TDs in his last few home games as a favorite. The line's at 1.5. I'm going over 1.5 TDs. Lamar Jackson. I also like.
When you say, is that passing or rushing?
No, it's passing.
Passing,
It's
okay.
passing.
All
Thank
right.
you for bringing that. Also, the team total, Ravens, 26.5. They're going to put points up on this game no matter how you look at this. I'm like over 26.5. Team total points, Baltimore. Who's going to cover this game? Anyone's guess. But I like those 2 props. Jackson to throw, 1.5 TDs over. Team total, 26.5 points, Ravens.
All right.
I see a lot of offense.
Okay, perfect. Well, I'll tell you, I'm looking at this game as well, and I'm going to jump on the first half of this game. I don't usually put first half plays out, but I just got this big-time feeling based on the numbers in this matchup that Baltimore is going to get off to a fast start in this game. They had the time off. They're playing against a rookie quarterback. I think they're going to really come at this guy. There may be even a turnover or 2 that could be putting points in the favor of Baltimore. I'm going to take Baltimore first half -5 in the first half of this game. I think Baltimore gets off to a start. I don't know what's going to happen after that, but my money is going on Baltimore -5 first half on that play.
You nailed your first half last week. The Bills. We had the Bills, and you said, you know what? I'm playing this one differently. I'm playing on the first half. They covered both, but they really covered the first half.
Yeah, the Bills, listen, they were playing against a wounded warrior with the Steelers. I mean, they could only go so far with that. But, this time of the year, guys, it's like the oven. It goes way up. The heat turns up. You got to know what's going on because they take it to a different level. The intensity level in the playoffs, we all know that, doing this as long as we're doing it. The intensity level goes sky high, and if you don't have it like your opponent does, you're going to have problems. You saw Miami. They ran into a buzzsaw against KC. They weren't intense enough.
What a disaster.
Yeah. I mean, if you want to make a comment on that game.
I mean, yeah, Miami and Dallas did kind of what we were talking about all year. They proved that they really aren't that much, right? And Dallas got whomped. Miami got whomped. Both of those games
Looked like they didn't even show up.
weren't even close. Yeah,
They
I
looked
mean,
terrible.
They
terrible
weren't
play
close.
calling.
And hey, I mean, me and Tommy had Miami. I mean, me and Tommy had KC last week, and I think we all had. I know I had Green Bay. I'm not sure.
I had Green Bay big time.
Yeah.
I loved it.
So-
I told you, I love this kid, Jordan Love.
Yeah.
I just like this kid. And I'll tell you, the coach, LaFleur, has put such a, their offensive coordinator and LaFleur, the head coach, has put such a great game plan together. This kid has thrown 21 touchdowns and 1 interception only in his last 8 or 9 games.
Yeah.
I mean, that's amazing.
I said it last week. His numbers in his first year as a Packer are better than Favre and Rodgers. So who do we like in this San Fran Green Bay game?
I'm going to tell you who I like.
Let's hear it.
I love Green Bay.
Okay.
I love them.
Okay.
Absolutely love them. I think they're going to definitely stay in this game. I told you last week I thought they had a shot to beat Dallas, and I think they'd show up because Dallas is like this. Dr. Jekyll, Mr. Hyde. San Francisco's a more, put-together team. Don't get me wrong. And it's going to be tough for them because they're going into a big-time environment, and the 49ers, are the team to beat to get to the Super Bowl, I feel, in the NFC. But I think they're going to stay in this game somehow, some way. Just the way they're playing right now, I feel they can, have enough manpower. And their defense has been playing pretty damn good, Green Bay. I mean, they've been playing good on both sides of the ball. Love Green Bay. Plus, I'd buy this line, guys, to 10. It's 9.5. I wouldn't even think twice. Go to plus 10. 10-unit best bet.
Wow.
Green Bay.
Wow.
What do you
You're
think?
not giving much respect to the Niners, though.
I'm giving respect to them, but I think that Green Bay is going to stay in the game.
Well, interesting thing here. Green Bay totally manhandled the boys. Actually, the girls, we should call them at this point. But I'm not so sold on the Pack. The Niners have had a week off. Yes, that could work with or against you. I'm switching once again to a prop. All right, it's going to be a tight game. But I like team total Niners. I think they're going to throw everything out there. It's 30.5. It was 29.5 team total.
Is it that high? 30.5?
It was 20.
It's a big number.
I'm buying it down to 29.5. I like the Niners team total over. The only thing that scares me, the last few games, the Niners have only averaged about 20 points a game.
But you know what? Last week they rested. You know, that game was meaningless against the Rams, so they clinched all the way through. So you throw that game out.
So a couple numbers on this game. I'm really treading very lightly on this game. Probably not going to touch it, but I have interesting numbers for both sides. So to support Scotty's side, the number one seeds that are 10-plus point favorites or more, 10 and 25 against the spread. So when they prop up these one seeds with these big lines, they typically don't cover. And then the Niners on top of that are 0-5 against the spread in their last 5. So, yeah, they do deserve respect, but they have not been covering the number. Now, the thing that keeps me from looking at these number and betting Packers, 82%. MGM actually just put out a report specifically at MGM, 82% of the bets are on Green Bay. Not the money, but the actual spread bets. Now, that is a really rare thing for that high of a percentage to be on one team.
Because they're seeing what a lot of people
Public's
are seeing
all
right
over
now.
'em.
They're seeing a team that's playing really well and are staying in games and moving the ball, and they got a quarterback that's playing flawless football. 9, 10 points is a lot of points.
Yeah. It is.
That's why people are jumping on it. And I'm agreeing with them because I just like the way they're playing. But we got 2 games on Sunday, and we want to wrap the show up and get things moving into other topics. But we got 2 games on Sunday in the NFL. We're looking at the Tampa Bay and Detroit. How about Detroit after 32 years winning their props to them? First playoff game in 32 years.
people
the other day.
crying in the stands.
Yeah, you see that? I
Hey,
was watching
listen,
that.
You know, I mean that those are real fans in Detroit. Those
Oh,
are
yeah.
those
They're
are
hardcore,
those
man.
are hardcore NFL
Detroit,
fans. And
Buffalo, the Buffalo fans that were
Detroit
sweeping.
just goes back to the old blue collar town. Everyone worked in the auto industry back in the day. Maybe not as much, but that's a real hardcore. They deserve it. I mean, on this one, I think Detroit could be the dark horse here. I don't have much faith in Tampa.
Really?
It is 6 points at home. Detroit's going to be tough. Get it down to -6 if it's 6.5. And I'm taking the Lions to cover on this one at home.
All right.
I think they advance.
Who's going to argue with the big kahuna?
No one could. But one other thing I wanted to mention: we're getting a lot of messages. Where can we get more picks?
Yeah.
And
Ben, can you put that up on the screen?
We do have premium plays, and it's real simple. If you just text POD POD 305-523-9783, you will get a text message with additional premium picks.
Now, these would be the top plays. Don't forget, guys, the games we give away on the show, we're giving them away absolutely
Right.
free. If you want some additional really strong games, just text that number right on the screen there and take advantage of it. We're here to try to give you that winning edge. This is what we do, and we're always looking to give you that winning edge.
We can't cover every prop, every total, so you'll get more selections.
I believe there's a couple of plays up there right now. If you guys text that number, you'll get a couple of premium, high-end plays on the house.
Yeah, and definitely, pay attention to everything that we do. We all have, first of all, guys, we are 3 separate companies that work together. We agree on certain things. We disagree on other things as far as our picks. But at the end of the day, this is a great way for you to get 3 different opinions in one show. So watch the whole darn show, get every single pick you can, weigh it all out in the end, and figure out which way you want to go. Let me also...
What do they say? 3 minds are better than one?
3 minds are better than one.
There you go.
kill two birds with one stone, but I don't think that really
By the
applies
way,
to this one.
I got to get you a play. We jumped off.
We
you
did. We jumped
on the
off.
Tampa Bay Detroit
Yeah,
game.
so Tampa Bay, Detroit. I mean, Baker Mayfield really
Surprising, right?
surprising. It's surprising for some people, but not for others. I just think he wanted it. It's all about whether you want it or not. He came back, he wanted it.
Yeah.
But I think at the end of the day, you got the public right now on this one. So the public's on, like, I like most of the public picks.
Loves Detroit.
Public
Big
loves
time.
Detroit. I think I would have to roll with the public on this one, being that it's going to be in Detroit. Baker's a sunny weather guy. I'm not really sure.
Indoors, though.
Well, it's indoors.
No weather.
Right, but
I'm going to disagree with you 1,000%
remember
on that
one
one.
thing, though. They have to be up there for a week, and this is really not Baker's take, but let me hear what you're going with this one.
I love Tampa. I think
Okay.
Tampa's showing up in this game. I just like the way they're playing. Their defense is physical, which is great, and Baker is controlling the games. He's not making many mistakes, guys. It's not the Baker we've seen for the last 2-3 years that threw a lot of picks and made a lot of bad calls. So somebody's getting this guy in his head, and he's following a good game plan. Detroit, listen, they are what they are. They're not a proven commodity. Yeah, they won last week. Okay, they beat the Rams 24-23. The Rams are not a powerhouse, nor is per se Tampa a powerhouse. But I think Tampa has enough steam to stay in this game. And I would be surprised if Tampa can't pull an upset. But I get this line to +7, and I'd be all over the dog in this game. I just like it. I just think they're playing right, and I think they could stay in a game like this against Detroit.
I like their weapons a lot, too. You got Godwin.
Oh, yeah.
Right? You got
Mike
you got
Evans.
Mike Evans. You got
You got a
Rashad
running
White, the running back, Rashad White, who's having a great year. So they really have weapons that are stepping up.
The only thing that'll screw this game up is if Baker goes back to Baker.
Yeah, because his weapons have stepped up. Even like David Moore, who's not their premium receiver, but he's stepped. I mean, everybody on here is stepping up.
Well, let's hit. We hit 3. We might as well hit them all.
No, let's do it.
We got the final game, and this game here is pretty damn exciting. This is the Kansas City Chiefs with the man himself, Patrick Mahomes, going on the road for his first playoff game in his career. It's made it easy for himself playing every game at home. He's going up against the Buffalo Bills. Bills Mania. And they got the
Bills
line.
Mafia.
Bills Mafia, excuse me. Well, it could be Mania too. But anyways, we got this line. We got Buffalo -3 against Kansas City. Mahomes against Josh Allen and all the weapons on both sides. What's your take?
Yeah, so I love Buffalo here. Probably my second favorite game after the Texans. And here's the thing, Josh Allen, he is built. He's like a machine. He's built for these non-great weather games.
Yep.
He's proven himself over and over in it. He's from it. Being the Buffalo situation, it's one of the coldest places to play this time of year. So he knows it. He's used to it. I like their weapons. I think Allen and Mahomes are pretty close. You know, a lot of people would probably say Mahomes is a little bit
gotta
better
be
because he's
Mahomes,
proven more. But right now,
2 Super Bowls.
right this second, this week, I think Josh Allen is going to show the better quarterback. They have the better receiver in Diggs. Remember, KC, their defense has improved for
Yep.
sure.
Oh, big time.
But their offense right now, these drop balls and these receiver issues, I think could bite them in the butt in this game right here.
Well, they had some the receivers showed up pretty damn good in that Miami game.
Against
that's for sure.
Miami. I mean,
Yeah, of
Miami's...
So who do you like?
I like the Bills. Bills.
Strong?
I want to get it at 2.5. It's my second favorite game.
All right. Big
I'm
corner.
agreeing with Big Teddy here. Buffalo has the momentum, without a doubt.
All right.
Mahomes on the road.
Well, why do you say Buffalo has the momentum?
Well, they've the last 6 games they've done quite well.
Okay, they played well, right?
They've played very well. I'm going to lay a couple extra juice lines here, but I'm going to take them on the money line. Buffalo to win the game at home against KC, and they're going to move on. I would also probably
155 money line.
It's
You can get it 145 on some books.
yeah,
Okay.
it's expensive.
I'm
gotta shop
switching my
it.
pick. I'm gonna go with the money line also.
at that.
Because
Oh,
I
boy.
could see
That's
them
a
winning
big
by a
corner
point.
theory.
We got a trend here.
I can
but
see them winning
I would
by a
also
point.
sprinkle. I don't have the exact odds right here, or the rushing for Josh Allen.
Right.
He's going to be running this ball. and I would sprinkle a little on over
The rushing yards?
Rushing yards.
Yeah.
But once again,
You know, he's averaged 78 rushing yards against Kansas City.
So that's
per game.
That's an excellent point. But once again, we're doing NBA right now. We're doing college hoops. So definitely text us at the number on the screen, and we do have additional plays on football, NBA, and college basketball that we'd be more than glad to send you.
College baskets. Love it.
Yep.
Love it, guys.
Can't get it
Love
all.
it.
We can't get everything on this show, but we'll be more than glad to send you more
Listen,
selections.
if we would give it all away on the show, we'd be here for a couple of days.
We'd be living in the streets.
There we go. Listen, guys, I'm going to tell you right now, I'm disagreeing with both these guys.
Oh, my God.
I love Kansas City. You don't knock the king off the throne so easily. And I think that Kansas City is coming in there. Everyone in the world says, oh, revenge. No, we're waiting for them. We're waiting for them. Guess what? You better be waiting for them, because if you're not waiting from the way that they're coming in there, you're going to have a hard time beating them. I love Kansas City in this game, plus the 3. I think they move on. They're going to probably go against Baltimore, and that's going to be a great game to see who gets to the Super Bowl. But I'm going with Kansas City. I don't think you take the king off the throne yet. He's going to get to the next step, and that's my opinion on this game. Best bet, 7-unit play on Kansas City plus 3.
All right. Well,
There we go.
there you have
Sorry,
it.
guys. I like you guys, but I'm going
There
against
you have it.
I think I got the right number on this one. Well, listen, we had a great show today. Damn, we had an unbelievable guest with the hockey. Can't get any better than that. Who's got about as educated in the ice hockey as we've seen. We talked about the NFL. We got to start getting into this basketball stuff, guys. People are asking us, when we got to start picking up Big Kahuna next week. Start getting into a little
Definitely. But
little NBA.
it's crazy. Next week's games are going to determine who's in the Super Bowl. It's crazy. Think about it. We started here in August. Now it's coming down to one more big weekend after this. And we'll have a lot to talk about next week.
Hey, we always have a lot to talk about when you're on the show, right? We'll figure something.
Yeah.
You got the sunglasses. I think he's getting ready to head to South Beach right after the
South
show.
Beach, yeah.
I know he's got a lunch date, but I don't.
lunch date.
And that's it.
Yeah.
All right, guys, listen. Teddy, tell the people where they can find you and get your daily information and updates and all the good stuff you offer to the public.
Yes, sir. So you could go to the youtube.com/@thesportsprophets. And then we also post pics on TikTok and Instagram @the_prophets_pick. TikTok @thesportsprophets. 28-8 in our last 36.
You guys are killing it.
Free games. So guys, watch these videos. Go, and when you see this video on YouTube, go over to Instagram, because we give picks on there that aren't here and picks there that aren't here. So make sure you watch everything, because I get people calling, "Are you saying you're 28-8, but where are the games?"
Well, they came in yesterday. They had the one loss, so they missed the 35 before that.
You got
That's
to
why.
go. You got to go everywhere.
All right. Excellent job. Big Kahuna, where can the people find you? Because you're out there, that's for sure.
We're out there. Our Instagram channel, we're close to 16,000 followers. Help us get over the hump. OSB_sports. YouTube, we put up 3-4 videos a day. OSB-sports. And our website, onlinesportsbet.com.
Is that it? Is
That's
there any
it.
more?
That's it for now.
All right, there you go. All right, guys, I'm Scott Matthews. I host the show. This is the one and only, and when I say it, the one and only OSB Sports Podcast Show. You could check me out on TikTok @SMPicks, PICKS, and also on Instagram. Everything we do, I put up for free. Win, lose, or draw. It's up there. Check it out. You can use it. Don't use it. Whatever you want to do. My Instagram handle is @SMSportsPicks, PICKS. And check out our show each and every week. It's up on all podcast forums, Spotify, Apple, you name it, we are there. It's the one and only OSB Sports Podcast. Have a great day today, and we'll catch you back here next week.